Hey, so this may be one of the most important videos that I'll ever make. It's an interview with my dad, Dr. Nagda. The goal of this video is to document some of the stories from my dad and hoping to pass it down to future Nagda generations. My dad is my hero, and his come-up story is one for the ages. I'm grateful that he and my mom immigrated here from India almost 50 years ago to give me and my sisters the biggest lottery ticket of all, which is being born here in the US. I sat down with him in August of 2021 for him to share a bit of his story. Hope you enjoy. Let's run the tape. Welcome to this Sunday conversation. Why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, your name, where you're from?
I'm Nagda. I'm originally from India. Vid is a small village where I was born of about 200 people. And when I was born, there was no light, electricity, or running water. My grandma used to go a mile to fetch the water, and we were Jains, so after sunset, mostly the light we had in the house was sunlight, and we used to have a small kerosene lamp, which will say 8 ounces of kerosene will last us almost a month to give us a night light, and that was it.
So I think one thing overall, I'm grateful for the hard work that you instilled in me, Sophia, and Sanya. But you explaining that where you come from a village of 200 people, where did you get that intensity, or where did you, even think to dream that big that you can make it out, or the meaning of hard work? Where did that drive come from?
The drive was twofold. I had basically nothing but lot of love in the family, and I was not that strong, and the prospect of not working hard dawned basically on me in late high school, because I was surrounded by people, including my family, with not very high dreams. So I will say my final year of high school, and thinking that what you're going to do, and the prospect sounded like nightmare, that you are not strong, you are not big, only prospect with zero money in your pocket was being a laborer, and that prospect did sound very good. So other option was to start working hard, and unfortunately my education that far was so poor, coming from us one teacher school with 7 grades in it, was basically no education, but just a holding place. And so I started working hard in my final year of high school. I wasn't a very good student, not because I had no intelligence, but there was no direction or motivation and hard work.
But how did so how did you even think that big to get motivated, in that area? So how I describe your journey was that it was almost a miracle for you to go from Kutch to Mumbai, to even think to get to the bigger city. Is that accurate how I kind of describe it, or
No, that is not accurate. We were lucky that the community people had at least started a boarding school where the fees were $5 a month, including lodging, boarding, schooling, everything. But the quality of students was extremely poor, without much aspiration in most of the people.
What do you remember most from those early days in Kutch, and that early struggle and lack of education that you described? Like, what's some of your earliest memories of that?
The the realization wasn't there that we are not getting any education, or there is life higher than where you are. And I was one of the rut which was going on, and everybody was in the same thing. Days were passing by. There was no direction or education or anything to come by, that all right, you do this, so you learn this. Including family, there was not really any expectations from me or any of us which was around. And studying hard was not expected.
So now, briefly describe going from India. How did you make it to the U.S.? How did you immigrate here? Can you give a brief the cities you touched down in? I think London, Chicago, and then ultimately landed in Florida.
Going, like I said, that in high school, when I last year when I worked hard, I got good scores, so I got into a good, again, a community college hostel, which was very cheap. And but that hostel had much higher level of students, and the admission for lone students was extremely high. So I got surrounded by students with only goal to get into the professional schools, so that everybody was working on that 2 years of college to get into professional school. And I must confess that I still was dragging among this, but everybody was working so much harder than I was, that I was almost, I will say, forced to work hard. That motivation of being the best in the world hadn't come in my brain yet.
I like that phrase, best in the world. So do you think throughout your career you were the best in your craft? And maybe you can touch on it. You are an OBGYN based in Florida. It's kind of like that Jordan mentality. We were watching the Jordan documentary yesterday. Are you the best in the world?
I will say that I'm among the best in my skills of what little I do. I do same thing repeatedly, and I always thought to myself, you're not doing anything Einstein's work. This is done by every day. Why can't...
No, but you're bringing life into the world. You're not. It's not a menial task. You do something pretty amazing on a day-to-day basis. You bring babies into this world, new life.
It sounds amazing to the outside world, but basically the skills and all, yes, I have developed, I have mastered, I have super master. I always thought that why there should be any complication, why the complications happen, why I could do things in a best way. Skills starting with the professional talking even to the people. They are coming to me, and I should be obliged that I am coming from outside world as an immigrant, and still in our society as an immigrant, I may be looked upon as not as high level as the local white population. And I said, if they are coming to me, I should be so good, and I should not leave any angle not covered, and not being including recepting the patients with the facilities we provide, with the way we talk to them, the way we treat them, our results, our manners, our office staff, everything was geared always to the best possible, that if somebody wasn't coming to us because I was darker, they should feel bad that they are not going them, and we are providing better service than the guys they are going to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my angle of doing everything to the best of my abilities, including my mental level, of philosophical level, psychological level, that how I treat other people, that they feel great.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of what skin color, you wanted to just be the best at your craft.
Absolutely. The skin color had nothing to do. On the contrary, there was a advantage of having a darker skin and an immigrant, that if I progress and if I do so good, I could be role model to thousands of people who know me.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that Rasik was just the ordinary one of us, and he progressed so much. And whenever I have talked to these people, I have said, I'm still the same,
Mm-hmm.
and you could be better than me. Not that you are anything inferior to me, and I haven't done anything great, but it definitely takes a passion, hard work, and direction.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that, everything else will fall in place.
Yep. I mean, I think the immigrant story is so, it's so incredible. Your friends, when we go to your friends' places as well, like the journey that you guys made, the sacrifices that you made. Um, you know, I'm just always fascinated. You always tell me, hey, I started at 0, and it took a long time to even get to 1, to get to 10, and that I was born at 100. So my advantage, period, which I often take for granted, was just being born here. That's the biggest lottery ticket that you've been able to give us.
You are very right. You are part of the sacrifice. There was no sacrifice. There was no place. I had no place to stay. I had no income, where I could barely feed myself. So there was no sacrifice. I wasn't giving up anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was at such a dirt poor ground level that I wasn't sacrificing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was, and so there was nothing to look back. When I got work permit from London to get, or rather move there, I had zero money in my pocket.
I love that story with different immigrants. They always remember the exact dollar and cent that they had in their pocket. So do you remember, like I had that much in my pocket before I came here?
When I got the work permit from UK, in 15 days I moved. I borrowed $200 from my friend, and I bought one shirt and one pant and one tie, and bought one-way ticket to London. Now I had left about I bought money in black market, and I remember nowhere to stay. So I thought that maybe I will go to YMCA. I heard that you could stay there for £3 a day, and the food over there was £1 uh, to eat. So I will have at least 1 week's money in my pocket.
Do you remember that friend's name that gave you the $200?
Yeah,
What was his name?
he was my village guy. His name was Mulchan, and money, even that $200 was so big for him that he said, "Could I give you $150?" And I said, "No, 200." And he was a small time person from my village, and nobody else will lend me a penny. I had a rich uncle, but luckily for me, he was so arrogant and insulting to me, and I never had high value for their intelligence or capacity. That I always felt that if these guys could do it, I could do it. And so their negativity actually helped me in a positive way. So I had £43 in my pocket.
Wow.
And those who work hard and those who have single-minded one direction, the success is almost guaranteed. I met a old lady, about 60 years old, and their family had come from a village to drop her at the airport. And she was very talkative lady, and but didn't know any English. So she went on asking me questions. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to live? So what do you do? So she invited me to stay with her. So I went and stayed with her.
Wow. I mean, you just touched on, the importance of hard work, and, basically that's instilled in you to this day. You're going to be 76 this year. You're still working pretty much full time. I think 4 days out of the week, right?
Yes.
What at 76, what keeps you going? That I think for me, Mom, Sophia, and Sonia we're saying, hey, retire already, enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. Why do you want to keep going? What is there left to prove?
It's a pleasure to work. It's a pleasure to be functional, and it makes money. To me, I am part of the unit of this extended family, and my money, if that makes you grow little faster, that is a big, really big incentive to work hard.
So I think we discussed before, you are close to or at about 20,000 babies delivered. Is that an accurate?
correct.
Is that an accurate number?
Pretty much.
That seems like a lot. So how many years have you been practicing? I mean, it seems like that's almost a baby a day.
I've been practicing for 40 years. Basically, I have taken 0 vacations. I work 24/7. I was in solo practice. That means every call at night, I was the one who will take it. The passion comes from proving yourself and a purpose. Purpose to me was my family, my extended family, my even country and my community over there. I felt guilty if I spend $1,000 on vacation, and if I give that $1,000, one person could have a residence in Bombay,
Wow.
and Bombay's suburbs. And that was a great incentive when I had no place to live in Bombay and stayed as a parasite all the time at different people's places. That to me, just blowing away $1,000 in a weekend versus somebody could have residence for life for that amount sounded a much better proposition.
Wow. So I mean, on that note of charity, giving back, you've given back a lot to your own community. I know that you've given back to different nurses. You're a big advocate of education, students that are coming up. What are some memorable things regarding your charity work and giving back? Because oftentimes you don't put your stamp on it. You kind of are in the backdrop, not looking for recognition, but for the larger cause. So what are some of your favorite causes, or maybe even individuals that you've helped?
We donated a lot. We started zero interest loan some 25 years ago, where any student or any person for that matter in need could get zero interest loan up to $2,000, and almost 100 people have taken advantage of that.
Is that here or in India?
It is here mostly through University of Florida.
That's so. I actually didn't even know that. That's interesting. That's cool.
We also gave it to eye camps and medical camps in India, and that feels good. That is not kind of a charity. I don't like the word charity. People in need, those who are working hard, and just giving them finger could make them a jump start.
Giving them a push, giving them a finger might be, flicking them off. Giving them a push.
No, I will stick to the phrase giving them a finger, because there got to be a good drive behind the person you're giving. There are a lot of people who just look at charities, including families, and they just think that that's a free money and they don't want to do anything. But if your money tomorrow is going to have 10%, 10 times return of their hard work and intensity, I mean, only thing I want to leave back, that I work hard. Yes, I work hard, and my family and community and everybody got to realize that he worked hard, and he had nothing, including not very bright intelligence even, so that they could do the same thing or better than what I did.
So, I mean, on that note, what do you want to be remembered as?
I just want to remember as, if there is something like remembrance, that he worked hard, he had nothing, he basically didn't have too much help. Community institutes definitely help him out. That's why I like to donate to the community institutes, so that deserving, hardworking, desiring people who just for the lack of that initial finger can't move further, they could move further.
I actually didn't show you this yet, but I got the legacy tattoo right here. So this is in your handwriting. I know that
Yes, I could
Sophia
see
showed.
that.
I know you're probably not a big fan of tattoos, but I think a lot about legacy. One thing is when I was in middle school, high school, me and you didn't really have a great relationship, and that's something that I regret over time. But very grateful now that we chat on the phone, every day, every other day. But also just, burying the hatchet of really petty things. I mean, it was a disconnect probably from my end, mainly the generational disconnect of what was expected versus what reality was. But I'm really grateful for our relationship now, and I
Good, I'm
apologize.
happy. No, I'm not looking for apology. What I'm looking for that you see good points in me and enlarge on that and be happy and prosperous. And there is no great thing about what I did. I had passion, I had hard work, and I had desire to succeed. And uh, of course, you have to put in good organization and hard work, but success is given if you put in hard work.
No, I wanted to just share that with you though. That that I always wasn't the best or communicated things the best with you, but I'm really grateful for our relationship now, and for to try to work as hard as you on some of our projects, because you're the baseline. You're the example that you set. You were saying that you want to inspire other folks. You inspire me every day of how I can work better. I take vacations, but I in the back of my head I'm like, dad would be working 10 times as hard.
And you will go 100 times further if you work that hard, and you use all the, say, maybe financial, that's all we could give you. I don't have capacity to give you direction now, but one thing is there: good organization, hard work, passion, and sometimes looking into humbleness, that you say, I mean, you don't get extravagant. I am surprised, proud, and happy that you're working on all the angles: your eating, your exercise, your psychological health, your meditation, your long-term planning to grow big. It's not dreaming which gets you there, is the vision which requires tremendous planning and hard work. And if you put in that, the success, I will say, is guaranteed, including mental peace.
So I want to leave with any advice or sayings that you have for the new generation. You're a grandpa now. You have 2 grandchildren, Liam and Noah. What sort of things you want to pass down to the new generation? We don't have kids yet, but when we do, what are some of Dr. Nagda's tips, lessons, life advice that you want to share?
As parents, as a extended family, our goals should be to give them mental peace, spiritual tranquility, all the advantages of technology, of their progress in developing intellect, developing passion into things. Like I was talking to Sophia other day, and I said maybe Liam and Noah could start ed tech of pre-KG kids with Spanish and English translation. That way they could learn the coding and they improve the languages, and they develop passion into creativity. And like I said and you said, yes, we didn't have good relations when you were younger because I was too much progress, and I might have been not sophisticated enough to put it in a right way and impose in a right way and be harsh even, and that becomes harder for people to get it, and then they reject whatever you say, and that is not how we could achieve things. The whole goal is to achieving. I'm happy you are on your right path. You are on a great path when you realize your negativity, your points to work on and progress. Once you start looking at yourself and into negativity, and even you may have a better point when you look at negativity in you, why it was that way, and how in your posterity, in your family, in your surrounding family, how you could learn to put it in a way that you are effective.
On that note, Dad, thank you for a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And this was fun. Signing out.